Invincible. Robo Trider G7 is a Japanese mecha anime television series produced by Sunrise that aired from 1980 to 1981. It was also referred to as Trider G7, Unchallengeable Trider G7, Trider G7, Bird Attack Trider G7, and Unrivaled Robot Trider G7. The story follows 6th grader Wata Takeo's life as he balances his school life being the president of a company, and battling a robotic empire from outer space. While a super robot series at heart, it depicts a real-world take on the genre, such as announcing to nearby citizens that Trider G7 was being activated and as having to consider the monetary expenses of battle. Plot: Invincible. Robo Trider G7 portrays the attempted invasion by the robot empire to take over Earth. Rebelling against this, the scientist Nabalon, who was exiled from the Empire, meets the protagonist Wata's father, and together, they design the transforming robot Trider G7. However, Wata's father dies in an accident, and Wata has no choice but to succeed him at both his job and piloting Trider. As the president of the Takeo General Company, Wata must now fight to ensure everyone's happiness, as well as the condition of the company's funds. Characters: Wata Takeo, Juwei Takeo Wata. Voiced by Satomi Majima. The second president of the company, called Young President by his subordinates as he is only in the 6th grade. Now that the first president, his father, has died, he is the only person that can utilize Trider G7. He is full of valor despite his age, and when his father died and the company was to be disbanded, he succeeded the presidency and became Trider's pilot. Umamaru Kakakoji, Shiseo Lume Morlu Kakakoji Umamaru. Voiced by Ichiro Nagai. A manager 64 years of age. Whenever Wata or one of the directors fires any missiles, he immediately begins calculating how much it will cost. Tetsuo Atsui, Haojin Jinan Atsui Tetsuo. Voiced by Yuzuru Fujimoto. A director, and the only mechanic, he can do everything from repairing Trider to fixing an air conditioner. He pilots the shuttle and provides support for Wata. He has no wife or children, but he adopts a foster son named Ryusuke during the anime. Tohashiru Kinoshita, Muchiya Balan Kinoshita Tohashiru. Voiced by Idoki Yamamoto. A subsection chief, but he doesn't actually get much work due to the company's structure. He is frivolous, yet also the life of the party, and other characters find it impossible to hate him. Akue Sunabara, Shayuan Yuhui Sunabara Akue. Voiced by Keiko Han, Yumi Toma, in Shin Super Robot Wars. The only woman of the company, an 18-year-old girl in charge of accounting, office work, and making tea. Michitaro Takeo, Juwei Dao Tailang Takeo Michitaro. Voiced by Tatsuo Sakuragata. Wata's father, and the previous president of the company. Deceased by the time the anime begins. Nabaron. Trider G7's designer, and a scientist who defected to Earth from the robot empire. Mechanics: Trider G7, Toraida G7, Trider G7. The titular robot of the series piloted by Wata Takeo. It stands at 57 meters tall and weighs 777 tons. It hosts a variety of weapons, including the Trider Saber and the Trider Beam Cannon. It is able to transform into 6 distinct states, each one useful for a different terrain, such as space, land, sky, and water. Shuttle, Shatoru Shuttle. A support shuttle for the Trider G7 that first appears in episode 27. Kakikuji, Tetsuo, Tuashiru, and Sunabara all pilot it. Its main armament is a pair of missile launchers. Themes: rather than depicting robots as a military weapon, like Mobile Suit Gundam did, the aim of the story was to portray the real world. Trider G7's own unrealistic abilities are explained with scientists that were exiled from the enemy empire, as Trider G7's capabilities are far beyond that of the other Earth-made robots in the show. As with other super robot shows, Invincible, Robo, Trider G7 is generally a story of Trider G7's battle with the alien robot empire, but its main drama derived from the protagonist, Water, interacting with many normal, working-class citizens and showing the human kindness that they possess. The enemy robot empire is never explained to be anything more than strange, mysterious robots bent on taking over Earth. Each time the robot empire attacks, Trider G7 is launched in order to intercept them, and through various coincidences, the robot empire fails again and again while attempting to figure out what Trider G7 exactly is. In the last episode, the robot empire finally abandons their quest to take over Earth. This all results in a unique story structure where neither the good guys nor the bad guys have any interaction with the other side. The only real-time contact between them occurs is between the protagonist and the exiled scientist Nabalon, who built Trider G7, but the only ones who actually know of Nabalon's true identity are the protagonist Water, Water's late father, and Claude, an engineer for the robot empire. None of the other major characters ever find out about this. The series ended without a single fight in the final episode, but rather Water's elementary school graduation ceremony. There were episodes that focused not on the war, but on Water's school life, such as him having a cavity filled during a physical examination, and him going on a field trip with his class. These scenes hold as much excitement as his battles in Trider G7. Production. The narration in the show was performed by Ichiro Nagai, who did the narration for Mobile Suit Gundam. However, in complete contrast to the dark tone of that show's narration, this narration was performed very energetically. Up until now, the series airing on TV Asahi in this time slot had their soundtracks composed by Takeo Watanabe and Yushi Matsuyama, but the two were busy working on the soundtrack for the theatrical adaptation of Mobile Suit Gundam, so Kurando Kaya filled in the role. Media. Invincible, Robo, Trider G7 aired from February 2, 1980 until January 24, 1981, spanning 50 episodes. It was also broadcast in Italy in 1981 under the name Landestrati by Robot Trider G7. As with most super robot shows of the time, toys of the titular robot were produced. None of them could ever perfectly replicate its unique 7 states of transformation, however. A DVD box set of the series was released in 2005, and an Italian box set was released in 2012 which contains both the Italian dub and the original Japanese audio. 1. The series has been featured in various installments of the Super Robot Wars franchise of video games, as well, including Shin Super Robot Wars and the Super Robot Wars Z Meta series.